Cheerio and welcome to the Broad Street Hockey Podcast. I'm back. I'm your host, Ryan Gilbert. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Joe DeMarini. Joe, how we doing? Been a while.
Been a
In
while.
honor of Steve Jaco joining you for your last show. That was a good episode there, but I am back. Yeah. And the Flyers are back to losing. So how you doing, Joe?
You know, you really caught me off guard with that cheerio. Just kind of, hit me, blindsided me there. Pip and all that. No, things have been good. Yeah, it's the U.S. and the Flyers are 0-2-1 since you've been back.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. Maybe you should just get out again.
I mean, it's definitely a possibility. And it's funny because when I studied abroad in London was in 2012 during the last enjoyable Flyers playoff series against the Penguins there. And then the night I came home was the night they were eliminated by the Devils. So there might be something to that now. Yeah, because I was away for the win over the Rangers first since 2021 at home, and then the win in St. Louis where Michkov had another overtime goal there. And I come home, come back, and then collapse against the Panthers. Huge collapse in the Boston matinee game. Just a typical Bruins afternoon matchup there. And then
so bad.
And then they couldn't beat Utah. Just luck was not on their side there with so many garbage goals in that one.
It was a tough week. And can't blame the refs for everything because they were committing penalties, but you're gonna call those? And then when the other team does it to the Flyers, just no whistles? No? Okay. Cool. But anyway, that's
who we can blame. We can blame the Big Mac. Jason McNeil wrote that article about the Flyers playing sin-bin-free hockey, and since then it's been anything but, with Torts going off on Konechny after not playing Konechny in overtime is kind of an interesting decision. But I do wonder if he was fully 100% after being pulled for the spotter there. But yeah, Flyers on a losing streak now, but I don't necessarily feel too bad about it. They're playing well. They finally have good underlying metrics. We'll get into that in a little bit. So, maybe they're a good bet to make the playoffs now. You can bet on that at Bet Online, which continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch games as they happen, with the largest selection of odds on everything from football and the NBA and college basketball, NHL to UFC. Head to Bet Online today, and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, the game starts here.
Yes.
And
now I'm officially tethered to my lamp charger because my headphones just made that boop, 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 boop sound, and I'm like, oh shit. So for all our video viewers, you just saw some really weird ass looking things. But anyway, the Flyers.
Well, no, speaking of video, make sure you are subscribed to the Broad Street Hockey Podcast there on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Here, top of the show. We do appreciate you sharing the show, leaving us a 5-star rating and review. So we appreciate all you listeners out there. But yeah, let's start on something that you guys talked about last week. Your article on David Jiricek went up on BroadStreetHockey.com today. Read and subscribe there. 16 cents a day for some fantastic content, saying that why the Flyers passing on David Jiricek was the right call. For anyone that hasn't read that, can you just give me a quick summary on that one?
Basically, there were three main tenets of why they shouldn't have traded for him. Number one, Jiricek's ceiling. He's a confident player. He's got all of these great tools. You're just man, when the puck is on his stick, it's damn, this guy's real good. But he's not a good skater. Just might actually be a legit bad skater, and hasn't significantly improved in the 2 years since he was drafted by all scouting reports. It's not like I'm watching him on the daily, but by scouting reports and just watching clips here and there, you're you can see the potential. But if in the 2 years since the draft, he hasn't really improved that much, that's a big risk. The second reason, and this is, I'll get to that one later because that one's the most contentious. The third reason is that they need a center. More than anything, they need a center. If Jiricek bottoms out as a second pair defenseman, that's cool and all, but that's not helping the Flyers of the future. They have a bunch of guys, and here's where people took didn't really agree with me is that the Flyers have a pretty deep blue line system. No one's like a true number one stud, but you have a bunch of prospects that could be second pair guys. And like, I get the swing on talent for Jiricek, but if the risk of him just kind of bottoming out as a second pair player is the most likely outcome, I don't take that risk because I've got a bunch of guys already in the system who have that same plausible outcome.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with that. Like, I didn't really see much of the reaction when it happened. I saw just in our Slack people saying that people were overreacting, which, I'm shocked that Flyers fans would go on the internet and overreact to not making a trade. But yeah, that the most important thing is you want to save those assets for a center. And like, sure, it's picks down the line. Damon Hunt isn't really a great prospect, so you could have probably gotten away with someone less than Bonk. But also, go ahead.
There was rumors that there was a division tax.
Yes.
So for the Flyers to trade for him, they would have had to give the Minnesota package plus something else, or maybe that plus something else is just Bonk because he's a more valuable prospect than the guy that the Minnesota Wild gave up.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to be. Don the Wads, didn't want to see him in division there, and like, yeah, maybe they would have had to trade a Bonk in that so that both sides have a player with a high ceiling that if they reach that, it haunts the other team in the division for years to come. And most importantly is that, like you said, the Flyers have a decent pipeline of defensemen, especially right now at the NHL level. Like if they needed a right-handed shot to come in, play third line minutes, like third pair minutes like Jamie Drysdale's doing. If they didn't have Jamie Drysdale, sure, go after Jiricek. But you got Sanheim locked in top pair. York's going to be top pair. He's only 24. Drysdale's 22. Andre's 22. Okay, Grans looked fine as maybe a 6-7 guy down the road.
You got Bonk.
You got Bonk coming up. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you didn't get Jamie Drysdale last year, sure, maybe you go for Jiricek. But also, I kind of trust Don Waddell's thought process on this, like because he was in Carolina, he built a good team there. He seems like to have a good talent evaluation, so I'm fine with him not doing it. If this goes a year or two down the line and they still are holding on to their assets and prospect hugging as some baseball fans do, yeah, I'm going to complain. But
sure.
And with Askarov would have been a big swing that I would have taken a swing on because you need a good goalie. You need a top goalie to win in this league, most likely. But for a defenseman where he probably wouldn't play NHL minutes, I don't really trust him to develop in Lehigh Valley, especially with the defense they have there. Maybe they pair him with like McDonald or something. But yeah, I'm fine, passing on Jiricek, especially if it would have been an even more expensive price, which is what was rumored.
You brought up Askarov as well, and I said for the same reason, I'm glad the Flyers kind of backed out of that one. Now, granted, Askarov is more highly regarded in his position than Jiricek is regarded in his. But the Flyers have Yegor Zavagrin, who might be a stud. He's several years away, but he could be a real damn good goalie, at least as good as Askarov's ceiling could be. You have Carson Bjarnason, who's getting better by the day. You have Sam Ersson here right now, who is at least a 1A goaltender in my mind, maybe a 1B. And then you have Kolosov, who's young enough to still be like maybe a backup, maybe a 1B, maybe a 2A. We don't know. But there's enough, you see enough from him in the games that he does play that you're like, oh, yeah, this guy could be an NHL goaltender. And then Fedotov is whatever. He's here for now. It is what it is. But he had a good run there for a few games, so I'm not counting him out yet either. But you just gotta wait. If you wait too long, like you said, if we're 2 years down the line and they still haven't made any moves, then I'm like, okay, this is you need to start visibly improving the roster. But if a center prospect like Jack Eichel's their way out of their organization, or you get to pounce on a change of scenery candidate, even if it's a change of scenery, it's still going to cost a lot for a player like that. Like Trevor Zegras, you're not just going to get him for nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one, goaltending is not, I mean, it's an issue right now, but it's not one of the main issues. So it's fine with that. And the one defenseman I didn't even name on the roster is Rasmus Ristolainen. Like he's still going to be here. If this was the offseason and, Jiricek this was happening in June or July, maybe the Flyers can work a three-way trade or trade out Risto, get in Jiricek. But right now, the way Risto's playing, the way this team is kind of gelling together, it's not really worth it.
No.
And yeah, you brought up Jack Eichel, and I wanted to bring up the Sabres here because their GM, said Buffalo's not a destination city right now, which I don't know if it ever is a destination city. And looking back at all of the Sabres' first-round picks in the past, 10 years. They had a few number one overalls. They had Eichel was 2 behind McDavid. Like he was great. They traded him. Sam Reinhart. They traded him. He won elsewhere. Eichel won elsewhere.
Rasmus Ristolainen.
Rasmus Ristolainen, first round pick. He's here now and playing better. So there is something to not just because the Sabres have fully tanked, whether they were trying to or whether they kind of fell ass backwards into that, but they've been tanking. They haven't made the playoffs since that series against the Flyers in 2011. And they've had a lot of high draft picks since then. 12th in 2012, 8th was Ristolainen in 2013. The next year, Reinhart 2nd overall. They had Eichel 2nd overall, Alex Nylander 8th overall, Middlestat 8th overall. This is what some Flyers fans want the Flyers to do, and that's what happens. That's one case of what happens when you're not building a culture. You're not building, a competitive environment for these prospects to come into. Also maybe it's player development problems or the environment there, whatever, what may have you there. But yeah, the Sabres had Jack Quinn, Dylan Cousins here, all in the top 10. Owen Power, Rasmus Dahlin,
yeah. Well, Dahlin is sick.
Let's be honest. Dahlin's
He's
legit,
really good.
But, yeah, but besides Dahlin, just a bunch of guys that could not cut it there. And that's probably at least partially due to the team not being competitive.
So that actually raises an interesting point for me. So people have knocked the Flyers for picking Jet Luchenko. They're like, well, why would you go off the consensus? Do you trust your scouts that much? And then I look at the Sabres and who they're picking in the top 10 and how none of them have really panned out in the way that was expected. I'm like, okay, so do you trust your scouts to make those picks too? If they're not you don't trust them to pick Jet Luchenko at 13th overall. Do you trust them to make the right decision at 7, at 8, at 9? I don't know. You can't have it both ways. It's got to be, I trust the scouts. I trust what they've seen, or I don't. And no matter who they pick, I'm not going to like it.
Yeah, at some point you just have to not necessarily trust the organization, but give them some sort of leeway. Since that you've been talking about, you wrote about, late in the offseason, earlier this season, I believe, about how, Bonk's looking good. Luchenko's looked great, completely flipped on our opinion on its head 3 months
Cam
later.
York. I still think Cam York is an underrated pick. I know Cole Caulfield's having a great season right now, but so's Cam York. It's just not as flashy because there's no points, which is good for signing him to his next contract because points get you paid. And if he's not putting up points, but is still playing really well, you can get him for a real good deal. And if he keeps up that kind of play driving, the points will come. And then you're like, oh shit, we got a Sanheim part 2 on our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Flyers didn't need to get another defenseman. Don't necessarily need to tank necessarily, but yeah, they have 3 first-round picks this coming draft. Might be able to get a 4th if they trade Rasmus Ristolainen. Rasmus Ristolainen has been officially named to the Four Nations tournament along with Travis and Travis Sanheim. You guys talked about it last week. There was some.
It wasn't official. It was only rumored and hearsay.
Yes. They didn't know anything, but I think it was announced on Wednesday evening. There were some people questioning if Travis Sanheim should be selected there.
Watch a game.
In which Farabee quote tweeted that, saying 3 words: "Watch a game." Right there. So Joel Farabee coming out, dunked on Jay Fresh there with a little bit. Jay Fresh did go out. He watched the game, put together a clip of the Sanheim's game against the Sabres, which was one of his best games. And Sanheim's been great since then. Farabee, thank God, got a goal on a Sunday night that, maybe he didn't want to take off from Steeler, but he was due a goal at some point. So
God, he so was.
Yeah. But this Four Nations face-off, and I'm going to write about this probably later this week, maybe early next week, is the perfect showcase for Rasmus Ristolainen. This is as close you can get to playoff Risto without actual playoff Risto. He should be playing top pair, potentially Miro Heiskanen, because there's not really any other top pair, top 4 defensemen there. And you know what? He's going to play against top competition. If he does well, it bolsters his case. If he does poorly, you're playing against the best in the world. Like you can't really can't count that too much there. So
You
I think it's
just
a win-win no matter what, unless he gets hurt, which is always
yeah.
a risk with any game. But yeah, I think it's a win-win for Risto at the Four Nations.
It just occurred to me when you said that he's going to see international best on best play before he sees the NHL playoffs. Like,
Yeah.
that's just, you gotta feel a little bad for the guy at some point. Like, I don't know who of our listeners reads The Athletic, but every once in a while, Sean McIndoe of Down Goes Brown will do like a construct a starting lineup based on these like abstract, weird criteria. And I would love to see him do one of NHL players that never reach the playoffs. Like Ristolainen has to be your top pair defenseman on that roster right off the bat.
I would think so. I know he's done one about like players that haven't won a cup, obviously, but I think he had to do something similar to that. But
or just longest time in the league without going to the playoffs.
Yeah,
like even if they do get to the playoffs after like a decade in the league or something, and then that would still count. But no, so Risto, Sanheim, TK, you love to see it. I love that. One of the reasons I think Sanheim is there is because he plays both the left and the right without any kind of issue. So if there's an injury or they need some lineup flexibility, they've got a guy for it. TK has a very clearly defined role on what will, I assume, be the fourth line, and it'll be just being an asshole, which he's always really good at anyway. Ristolainen is going to be playing on a pair likely with Miro Heiskanen, who is like a cup caliber defenseman for the Dallas Stars. What better environment to showcase Risto? He's gonna. I do see that the Dallas Stars could use a big right shot defenseman as well.
And they cleared some cap space with Tyler Seguin going on LTIR potentially here.
Yeah. So, hey, Risto Stars, Ristolainen, it's right there, guys. Come on, let's make this happen. But speaking of defenseman trades, we had a big one this weekend.
We did have a big one this weekend. The Jacob Trouba saga finally came to a head. Remember, in the offseason, he didn't want to waive his no trade clause because his wife or partner had a residency in a hospital up there in New York, I believe. But Chris Drury is getting cutthroat. Did a similar thing with Barclay Goodrow, saying, accept this trade or I'll waive you. Did the same to Jacob Trouba, and he is now in Anaheim. They traded his entire contract to Anaheim for defenseman Euro Vakanainen and a fourth-round pick in this coming draft here. So Rangers kind of in shambles. There've been rumors around Trouba, been rumors around Chris Kreider as well. Got out from under that Jacob Trouba contract, $8 million until the end of next season, and immediately signed Igor Shesterkin to one of the richest goalies contracts in history. But the richest,
I think so. I don't know by cap percentage off the top of my head. I mean, it is the highest AAV of any goalie contract, but I don't know. Like, if the cap is going to go up the way we think it's going to go up, that percentage might be right in line with like Bob's contract when he signed it, but I don't remember.
Yeah, but yeah, Jacob Trouba out of the division. I don't know what the Rangers are really going to do on their blue line or for naming a captain. Probably wait till the offseason for that. But the Rangers needed a shakeup. They were able to, kind of blackball Trouba into getting out of there, and they gave that money right to Shesterkin. So we'll see what they do the rest of the way, because they still have $7 million in current cap space, $4.7 million in projected cap space, according to Buckpedia here. So that they'll probably be looking to add or shake things up at the deadline.
I mean, they're kind of hamstrung again by like full no move clauses. Like Zibanejad has a full no move clause, so that's kind of going to be tricky. Also, just looking at their page, Steve and I talked last week about how the Flyers should probably be going for it starting in 2026-ish, or like that's when they should start pivoting. How would you feel about getting Artemi Panarin on like a 3 or 4 year contract at like, I don't know, $10 million a year to play left wing? He'll be 35, but like it's Artemi Panarin playing left wing and Matvei Michkov.
Yeah, if you got Panarin and Michkov together, if Panarin ages well, I mean, I'm I'd be all for it. The Flyers.
He just had the best season of his career last year. Like the dude is a machine.
We're talking about 3 years down the line. He's going to age a bit here. So I know he didn't come to the NHL until his mid-20s there. So maybe that helps him out a little bit. But yeah, if you can get a goal scorer like Panarin, I think.
Oh, he's a setup guy though. Like that's his calling card.
But last year he was like, I'm going to start shooting more, and last year he scored 49 career high goals, 100, still 71 assists too. So
it's crazy.
I mean, yeah. Any of these Russian guys that come available, Panarin, Kaprizov, bring them all to Philly. Bring them all.
I'm fully into it. God, that would be so fun. But anyway, that's enough pipe dreams. Speaking of pipes,
one more pipe dream involving the Senators. Have you seen the back and forth between the Senators and the Rangers today about the quote unquote soft tampering with Brady Tkachuk? Because I think Larry Brooks floated out there that the Rangers could be interested in Tkachuk.
But everybody's interested in Brady Tkachuk. Like, if he was available, everyone in the league would be like, "Hey, what do we got to do to get this guy?" That's like, no shit.
Yeah, and the Senators are once again right there with the Red Wings and Sabres as the teams that are like, are you guys going to do something in the Atlantic Division, or are you just going to keep it, Florida, Toronto, Boston, Tampa for the rest of the
They are not going to do anything.
No. All right, I think that's enough for around the league here before we
Whoa. I got to get this pipes pun transition done. Pipe dream. Between the pipes. Goalie trade. Yeah, we got a goalie trade about 2-3 hours before we started recording. Mackenzie Blackwood goes to Colorado with Giovanni Smith and a 2027 fifth-round pick. And San Jose receives Alexander Georgiev, Nikolai Kovalenko, a conditional 2025 fifth, and a 2026 second-round pick. Damn.
Yeah, I listened to, I think it was either the Athletic Hockey Show or 32 Thoughts on the plane, and they speculated, the Avs need a goalie. Mackenzie Blackwood has been playing well in San Jose, 909 save percentage, 3.0 goals against. So now the Avs have Blackwood and Wedgwood. They got a pair of woods there between the.
They got the woods. It's a forest. It's a veritable forest over in Colorado. It's very funny to me that San Jose is where New Jersey goaltenders go to rehabilitate their careers, because they also have Vitek Vanacek in San Jose, I think. So just great work by the Devils sending their goalies west to improve themselves.
Yeah, but this is exactly what the Avalanche needed. This is the only thing kind of holding them back, besides some depth. They have decent depth there, but goaltending.
Ross Colton's back, so that's a big step for them.
But like in the playoffs, they needed the goaltending here. Flyers, of course, have the Avalanche's first round pick this year. Avs are, I think right now they're still on the playoff bubble a little bit. By point percentage, they are out of the playoffs. Right there with the Flames. So, hopefully for the Flyers' sake, they miss the playoffs. Get a mid-teens pick, more likely to make the playoffs, and we'll see what happens there. But yeah, definitely something to watch.
Sorry, I just opened up Tankathon to check the points percentage, and I simmed the lottery one time. Guess who won?
Flyers.
No, yeah, the Flyers.
Let's go.
We won the draft lottery. We jumped from 10 to 1. Oh, sorry to just spur the moment interrupt you like that, but that was a pleasant little surprise. Usually it's the Penguins. And
I've been hearing more that there's going to be a 4-man race for first overall with Porter Martone, Michael Misa, Higgins, and
Schaefer, I think.
I forget who the fourth was. But yeah, I mean, even better for the Flyers, because the Flyers having 3, potentially 4 first-round picks, maybe they trade up to grab one of those 4 with a team that wants more depth rather than just the one guy.
I mean, I look at teams like Nashville, and Pittsburgh is kind of getting themselves back together. They're not going to be good, but they're not basement dwellers. But I can see a couple of these teams being hey, we need to turn a corner right now. Detroit really needs to be turning it around. Buffalo, Ottawa, Nashville, especially, they committed, right? They are committed to all of these aging big contract players. Do they do they sacrifice these high picks to get help right now? I don't know if I see Barry Trotz doing that, but like the Flyers have a lot of assets. If they are just trying to get a quantity of picks to move for other roster players, then like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how things shake out.
Yeah. The Flyers could end up being a playoff team the way they're looking the past few weeks here, especially with the lines they've got put together over the past few games. Last night, especially with Jamie Drysdale back. But, starting with the forwards here, I think the lines we saw on Sunday night, and we've seen them, for a few games in a row now, are probably the best lines I've seen all season for the Flyers. Let me pull them up on the screen. These are all the Flyers lines to play at least 50 minutes together. Top one right there. Farabee, Couturier, Konechny, nearly 98 minutes, 59.6% expected goal share. You got Lawton, Paling, Hathaway right there, 60%. Michkov, Frost, Tippett, 57.1. And then Brink, Cates, Forster, 67.3. Like, they've finally been able to put the pieces together where they're supposed to be. And we have 4 lines that are, driving play.
You love to see it. You'll love to see it.
You love to see it. And then if you look over at the game level of how the Flyers have been doing over the past few little bit here. I mean, this little dip here is that Hurricanes game where they had 20% of the expected goal share. But besides that, I mean, they've been above 50 for 7-8 games in a row here.
Yeah.
If you go to the 5-game moving average, they're on the up and up. If you go to the 10-game moving average, they're on the up and up. So
they've been playing good hockey. They just can't win.
It's frustrating, but at the same time, it's not, because there's no playoff expectations once again. And this is a lot better than where we were, say, a month and a half ago, when we were like, all right, this is a shit season. Why is Michkov playing with Ryan Paling and Anthony Richard, which I know doesn't bother you, Joe. I listened to the podcast last week, but yeah, we finally have, 4 lines together, and I don't hate how Morgan Frost is looking. I really don't. Obviously, let's not talk about that little mistake he made on the power play there to give the Utah.
You mean Marchand Frost?
Marchand Frost, yes.
He was watching that Brad Marchand clip before the game. Had to.
Yeah, but that line was great last night. I mean, that's why Torts put him back out there on the 6-on-5. I think he was good in the face-off dot as well. I know a lot of people are sticking Morgan Frost, us included at times, but if he can play to this level right now, maybe he's not going to stick around long term, but he's helping Tippett and Michkov grow.
Is he? I feel like they're doing that in spite of Morgan Frost.
I don't know. He's made some good plays. He made some good defensive plays last night, I believe.
Overshadowed by... I know, he made some plays last night. He looked okay, but like... That last night's game was the Morgan Frost experience distilled into a 60-minute game. He made some good plays, and you're like, yeah, damn, this guy could be a 2C. And then he absolutely just whiffs the puck, and you're like, there we go. This is why people are so frustrated with him. But I will say I really appreciated the Torts just threw him right back out on the ice. Like, what do you say to a guy after that? Like, hey, ding dong, hit the puck. Like, nobody could say anything to him that would make him feel worse than he was already, probably feeling himself. Yeah. So setting him back out there is like, get out of your head, get on to the next shift, forget about it. Like, I respect that. That was, I wouldn't say a kind gesture, but it was like a shit happens, kid, get over it.
Yeah, it was a vote of confidence to him, and like every hockey player has done that before in their lives, I'm sure, whether it's during a game or during practice. But when it's during a game, your team's trying to make a comeback, and then you go down by 2.
Oh,
that's
on the power play. It was a shorty. Oh,
yeah. But yeah, last night their line played 11 minutes. Shot attempts were 15-5, shots 5-2, goals 1-0, scoring chances 6-3. Like, expected goals share 92%. So they were the best line on the ice for the Flyers last night.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And we saw Tyson Forster move up there for Joel Farabee in the 3rd period, which I don't think is going to be something long term, but I think it's more so back-to-back, Torts seeing who has the legs, trying to shake things up a little bit. But I've also been happy with the limited time I've seen of the Forster Cates Brink line. I think Cates Cates deserves to be in the lineup. I don't know if he's a
Yeah.
3C necessarily, but on this team he is, and
Fine.
I like him there between Forster and Brink.
I remember like a couple years ago, people thought his ceiling was, oh, he could be our Anthony Cirelli. I know Anthony Cirelli's like a point and a half a game player for like he's just having a crazy season. So I think that dream's out the window. But
He
you know,
could be Sean Couturier light. Like he's not going to get to where he had back-to-back 30 goals, 76 point seasons, but first 4 or 5 years of Couturier's career, 37, 39 points, 34 points, Selke quality defense at times. So don't mind that at all.
My biggest hope for him would have been Philip Deneau. I think is where I would have liked to have seen him, because Philip Deneau is the 3C, I suppose, for the LA Kings right now. And every season he posts like really strong, play driving numbers. His let me see if I can find it. Yeah, his Corsi 4 is always above like 52%, like on a season. Like he's just a consistent driver, and he scores. Let's see, I think gets about 50 points in a season. That's not bad. So that was really my dream for Noah Cates, was Philip Deneau. But I don't think I think that ship has kind of sailed.
How old is Cates? He's like what, 20, 24 maybe?
26?
Is he 26? Or because he's a college kid, right? Yeah, 25, 26 in February. So yeah, maybe he's not going to reach it. So, but his rookie year, 38 points in a full season. But since then,
Gilbs, he was the 1C. Of course he was going to get points. He was the first line center of this team. There was no Sean Couturier.
Yeah, he played nearly 18 minutes a game. So
those
are a lot of empty calorie points there for Noah Cates.
He was probably on power play too that year. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
No,
but I mentioned him before. I was very happy to see get a Joel on the scoreboard, even if it was just a very easy tap in for him that a puck may have been going in the net, because that's some people saying, "Oh, Farabee can't finish. Let's get rid of him. This is why we need to trade him." But if you look at his underlying metrics at like the 5-on-5 individual expected goals per 60 among all players that have played at least 350 minutes. I had it up before. He's like 20th. He's like 20th up there. 20th exactly, with 0.93, right behind guys like Hagel, Kempe, ahead of Verhaeghe, Sebastian Aho, Blake Coleman, Cole Caulfield, William Nylander, Trocheck, Heischer, Crosby, Wyatt Johnson, Gensel. Like, he's getting chances. He's just not finishing. And I don't think it's a problem that he's having, because looking at his career numbers, he's a career shooting percentage of like 12%.
Yeah.
And going into last night's game, I think it was below 5. Now it's just above 6, with 4 goals on 63 shots. If he was shooting 12%, he'd have 8 goals in that time, and he'd be, looking much more respectable. But
he's this season's Tyson Forrester at this rate.
Yeah, he is, and I'm glad to see him on the top line, because I think he's one of their few natural left wings.
Sure is.
He's still 24, 25 in February. So if he can, I think ideally, once the Flyers are competitive, he can be like a second line winger with Konechny and get like Luchenko in the middle of those two, something like that. If they are able to get a 1C to play with Michkov and Kaprizov or Panarin up there, don't mind that at all.
Yeah, just get one. Just get Panarin.
Go to the 1C shop and get a 1C. Yeah, and
do they grow on the tree with all the little 1Cs?
Yeah, and right next to the 1C shop, very conveniently, is the Russian 40-goal scorer shop, and you can pop in there and get one from Michkov.
Oh God, wouldn't that be fun? No.
Yeah, but enough about the forwards. The defense has also looked quite good, including one Jamie Drysdale.
Woo-woo. I'm excited.
That's your cue. I thought you had this big Jamie Drysdale thing going.
Sorry. Yeah. Missed. I don't know, man. It's been 2 weeks since we recorded. I'm not picking up what you're putting down anymore. No, I'm excited to see what Drysdale can do, because the emergence of Ristolainen and Andre as a quote unquote second pair pushes Drysdale down in the lineup to third pair duties. That relieves so much of the pressure from him to be good right now because Andre can carry a lot of that weight. It also means he's getting softer matchups and cushier minutes, and maybe he's just going to be able to do more with that. So I'm planning to write about that, but this was just one game, and I don't want to jump to conclusions that quickly. So I want to wait at least 5, ideally 10, to see what happens. But yeah, keep an eye out for that if he keeps playing like this, because I see the stats you've pulled up here. That includes before his injury with Sealer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is the entire season. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Thomas threw a quote in the chat today. I'm not sure if he included it in his article about Jimmy Drysdale, about saying, like, because his injury went from day to day, and then he ended up missing like close to a month, if that. And yeah, he was like, the boys were rolling, and we kind of talked about that. I was like, okay, when Drysdale is fully 100%, he'll come back. But I mean, like you said, Andre's playing well. They were finally able, get him in the lineup there for Zamula. And the 3 pairs they have now, Sanheim York playing extremely well. Their most used pair by far, 230 minutes, 57.5% expected goals for. Andre Ristolainen, 64.2% of the expected goal share.
That's outrageous. I didn't realize it was that high. Yeah. That's insanity, dude.
Yeah. And then Sealer Drysdale, 92 minutes, including, early on when they were struggling a bit, 51.9%, still over 50% there, which is definitely respectable for the third pair. And I was also happy to see Drysdale get moved up with Sanheim in the third period of last night's game. Obviously had fresh legs, but also looking for offense. Get him up there. He's kind of a rover type. He was definitely in on the play a lot against Utah.
He had a goal.
We can see that.
He had a goal.
He did. He shot a puck that ended up in the back of the net and was a goal on the ice. That's all we can say.
Yep. It didn't reflect it on the scoreboard, but No.
But yeah, this is the lineup I want to see the Flyers roll with for, the foreseeable future here, as long as they're healthy. Like, stick this group together. These are your 12 best forwards. These are your 6 best defensemen. I do wonder what they're going to do with the roster as in terms of extra players when they go on a little road trip, but that's not going to happen really until after Christmas, because they're at Columbus tomorrow, come back home, at Minnesota, and then at Detroit 4 days later. I imagine they'll come back home between that. So as long as these 12 forwards are healthy, 100%, like, they're going to be carrying 8 defensemen and 3 goalies, which I know Torch doesn't want to do. But luckily, Nick Delorier suffered some sort of injury in practice and is now on IR, so he can just be permanently in the press box. But yeah, I do wonder what's going to happen with these 8 defensemen and 3 goalies if the Flyers do have to call up a forward.
You got to do something with Zamula. I feel like that's like the weak link now, maybe. Or you got to speed up a trade for Risto. But I don't want to just trade Risto to trade him to clear a spot. I'll wait. I'm not in a rush.
No.
We just saw the numbers. It was 64% expected goals for him and Andre.
Mm-hmm.
I ride that until it's not working or until the deadline, whatever comes first.
And maybe if it's a 1-game, 2-game injury for a forward, you just go 11-7. Torts has no problem going 11-7, especially with Drysdale as one of those 7. He can, play a more offensive role. Maybe put him on the wing for a few shifts if you have to. I feel like that's something you could definitely try. 11-7 you can do. You can't put Drysdale on the wing, but 11-7 is something you can do with this team.
And then it gets Zamula in some games because you need to play him. So yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
If there's an injury up front, there you go.
Yeah. I want to ask you, how has the goaltending trio looked? Tandem, I guess more so, the Russian tandem in the games against the Rangers and the Blues. I was only able to catch the condensed games. I know it was a low-scoring game in both of them, but they didn't look too bad. I mean, I know they have their moments here of good and bad, especially bad playing the puck, which was good to not see last night with Sam Ersson. But
dude, watching those two play the puck is gonna give me a conniption. Every time I see Fedotov or Kolosov skate behind the net to play the puck, I'm like, what are you doing? God, it's just gonna give me a heart attack one day.
I believe you said it's just not a liability, which is all you can ask for.
That's about all you can ask for when Ersson is playing the puck behind the net.
Yeah.
He's not a liability. I thought they looked fine. I mean, the box scores don't always look great, but like, given the team in front of them, they're doing okay. I don't think, I don't see a reason to be like, oh, neither of them are NHL goalies yet. Like they've earned some time to figure it out.
Yeah, league average save percentage is currently .901. Got Ersson 897, Kolosov 881, and Fedotov 877. But I feel like they've been a lot better recently.
Yes,
Kolosov's given up back-to-back 4-goal games and not a lot of shots. But before that, pretty good. But it's just a matter of
Fedotov had a 3-game win streak for a little while.
Kolosov did 3 games in overtime. I think it was the first goalie ever to win his first 3 games in overtime.
Well, I don't know. I didn't see that. I thought Fedotov had three in a row as well. Did he not?
Well, he did come in relief, it looks like, or he was relieved. He did. Yeah. Buffalo or Tampa, Ottawa, Buffalo there. So
yeah. Okay. I know. I know some things,
Yeah. So it's just a matter of what's going to happen when they have to send one of them down. Like, is Kolosov happy enough now where maybe he'll go down to the AHL knowing that he'll get called back up?
Someone's going to get it. Someone's getting injured.
Someone could get injured. I'm fine carrying 3 goalies, but then it's like, okay, do you waive Zamula and risk losing one of Michkov's best friends? That's the issue. Because I could see a team just being like, all right, fuck you guys, we're taking Michkov's best friend.
What if you trade Erik Johnson?
I don't think they're trading Erik Johnson. He really likes it here. Danny Briere played with him. They're good friends. He's gonna, unless maybe you can. He hurts himself in practice, maybe, or something, and get him on IR. I think that's the only way they do something with him.
Something occurred to me the other day about Erik Johnson, and I just want to double check that I'm correct about it. Okay. Erik Johnson was there the first year that Nathan MacKinnon played in the NHL on Colorado. He's here the first year that Michkov is playing in the NHL. So I know that like they have a locker next to each other. I'm like, why do they do it? Why? Like, I don't get it. But Erik Johnson has been like there for a superstar entering the league before. And Cale Makar too, technically. I guess like that as well. Maybe Mikko Rantanen as well. I don't remember when Rantanen joined the league, but like Erik Johnson was there for that too. Yeah, that's I like. So having him here with Michkov, it's like, oh, he's been with, he's been with these superstars as they're entering the league before.
Yeah, so he's definitely a good mentor to have in the room. Just, maybe not a good guy to take up a roster spot. And that brings up the question, do the Flyers send down their only waivers exempt defenseman, Emil Andre, if he has a bad game here or there, or a few bad games in a row, or if he loses some steam? Like, I feel like that could be a move just to be like, all right, we don't want to lose any of our guys. Go down for a bit. You'll be called back up first sign of injury.
If it's a few bad games in a row, I could see it. But he's just playing such outstanding hockey right now that I don't think you can do it. I don't know if this would work. Andre Drysdale might be kind of neat, just because Andre's such like just a little badass cannonball out there. They're both small defensemen. They're both like puck movers off. Like, I don't know if they have like the right skill sets to mesh with each other. But I'm like, oh, just let chaos reign. Let's just go with the chaos pair. But the Scandinavian Bash Brothers of Andre Risto is pretty fun in the interim.
Yeah, I think they wouldn't put that together just for the size. But, I wouldn't hate if Andre continues this. Yeah, I'm looking up his underlying metrics here. His relative Corsi for percentage and expected goal for percentage have been positive besides for the Blues game. But, yeah, he's not really slowing down at all. But, maybe an Andre Sanheim, York, Drysdale, but not doing Steeler Risto. So I don't know what you're doing there. It's just, it's a bit of a puzzle. It's not really too much that the Flyers have to worry about. Worst case scenario, Zamula gets claimed, which in the grand scheme of things, whatever.
I know. I just I think that'd be a lousy way for it to end with Zamula in Philadelphia. I think they can do more with that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like who they could maybe just do like a small trade with to get a roster spot. But as we've said before, they love this roster. They love everyone on this roster. That's kind of the whole thing they're doing here is they're building a good room and they don't want to get rid of any of them. And they don't have any clear trade candidates besides, I guess, Ristolainen and Frost and
Scott
Lawton coming
Lawton.
up.
Yeah.
Maybe they end up doing like a 2-for-1 trade, Frost and a winger for a better center, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting here. There could very easily be an injury in the next few games, and just to make all this a moot point.
I'm not even sweating the roster conundrum. I'm like, it's going to figure itself out, and they have too many good NHL players. What a disaster. What a problem. God, I am going to write about this at some point too, but people who are still knocking this organization for player development have not been watching the Flyers the past 2 seasons. Like, where do you think these players came from? They like York, Forrester, Brink, even Frost when he's actually playing well. Like, all of these guys have hit their stride with this organization. That's not just coincidence. The team wouldn't be too good to tank if the players that they had drafted 5 years ago weren't actually relevant NHL players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when this rebuild started, that we weren't going to be able to tank, it was like, okay, Carter Hart's our goalie's too good to let us tank, and that's not the case. Now it's like our players are too good to let us tank. Our team as a whole, our coach is too good to let us tank. Our philosophy that they're going with is too good to let us tank with, which is somewhat of a choice here. Something I am sweating over though here. The Flyers power play. Like going back to the 2-0 win in Boston. Since then, the Flyers are 10-6-3. Very respectable. Good record there. They've been outscored 58-56, very close. But their power play 6 for 49. Power plays against 12 for 52, which that's still, I think, decent for the penalty kill. 23% there, or 77%. I think that's sagging a little bit.
It's like they showed it on the broadcast last night. They're at like 11th or 12th in the league right now on the PK.
I mean, that Panthers 4 for 5 is definitely going to take a big hit there as well. But why can't they do anything on the power play? And it's not just this year. It's not just last year. It's like the last decade. I don't know if there's a curse. I don't know what it is, but the Flyers power play is just abysmal. And I was looking deeper into it with like the underlying metrics and stuff. And the Flyers are bottom in the league, shot attempts per 60, 76.77. The second lowest is the Canucks, who have 10 more shot attempts per 60 than them. Shots per 60 are 39.92. Montreal's right there with 40, but like expected goals 4 per 60 is second worst, only to Vancouver. Expected goals 4% is fourth worst because they allow so many chances against. Like, there's not a solution. There even no matter what we say or what we think up, there's not a solution. It just doesn't work.
Well, I don't know, Gilbs, have you tried not doing a slingshot pass for every zone entry?
That could help. That could definitely help.
Every single zone entry. Oh, puck in the defensive zone. Here comes the defenseman carrying it up. Oh, puck in the defensive zone. Here comes TK carrying it up. It's just the same pass. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's the players, but like they have one trick on the power play to get in the zone.
Yeah.
And once a team figures out how to stop that, they don't do a damn thing. It is just it's almost like comical in like a tragic way, It's a tragic comedy. But
yeah. If we cared about winning this season, it would be absolutely infuriating. Right now, it's just mildly annoying. We've got a power play, whatever. Probably not going to score. And as much as I hate the dump and chase on the power play, why not try that? You're outnumbering another team. You should be able to outnumber them in the corner. You should be able to win a battle when you have your top guys out there. Like
you'd think so.
just
You
treat
would
it
think
like 5-on-5.
Well, their 5-on-5 is like rush based. You'd think that like they could get a zone entry on the rush,
But it's
like,
not a slingshot rush. It's just a normal rush, just a normal 5-on-5 rush. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Or Tippett just gets in the zone and tries to go 1-on-5, 1-on-4. He did that a few times against Utah.
He did that a couple times last night. I was like, oh, is he gonna pull that off? No, but I props to him for trying. You know, he's feeling it now. But yeah, the power play is just shows that Michkov alone isn't gonna fix that unit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more concerned about the penalty kill. I know letting 4 for 5 or 4 for 6 or whatever it was against the Panthers really tanked their numbers, but it has been sagging in general lately. Yeah. The thing that kept the Flyers so close to the playoffs last season, sure, their power play was historically bad. They had like the 3rd best penalty kill in the league. Like they had the 1st best penalty kill for a span of time before like things kind of fell apart. If one of your special teams is that elite, that can carry you a long way. Mm-hmm. If both of them are mediocre, you're really not in that situation. And a part of it, I think, have they scored a shorthanded goal yet this season?
I was just going to bring that up. They scored 1 in Calgary, the 2nd game of the season. Since then, they have not.
Yeah. The power kill has lost some of its bite. We talk about it every week that it looks like Konechny's playing through something. Like there's some kind of injury hampering him, and he's still playing great. But it really shows itself on the power kill where he doesn't have the juice to just take those breakaways like he did last season. Yeah. Scott Laughton almost had one last night. Didn't go in. But someone else almost had one, but then they passed it. I think TK had a chance, or
maybe Hathaway Paling.
Hathaway Paling might have had a really good opportunity, and then they overpassed it. I'm like, guys, Claude Giroux isn't here anymore. Why are you doing that? That's just shoot the damn thing.
Yeah, we are starting to see more Tyson Forster on the PK. That was something we talked about. If you could be on there, he's played more, especially in the past 4 games here. Played 4 minutes, 43 seconds against Boston on the PK. But yeah, so they had a 7-game streak not allowing a power play goal. Since then, they've allowed 12 on 35 chances in their past 12 games.
So is it possible that they're running a 3-unit penalty kill? Because I know Laughton TK plus 2 defensemen is 1. Hathaway Paling is another one. And then I've seen like Forster Couturier sometimes, like he's out there on those PK units. So is it like a 3-unit thing right now, or?
Yeah, I think it's always, most teams have 3 pairs they can go to, especially if there's one of those guys in the box. Cates has also played 36 minutes on the penalty kill this year. Coots has been out there. Yeah, so yeah, it's the Laughton Hathaway. Laughton Teeks, Hathaway Paling, and then
everybody else.
Cates, Couturier, Forster, like some mix of those guys.
Give me Owen Tippett now.
Yeah, get the speed out there. Get the speed.
They talked about it like a couple of years ago. They were like, yeah, I'd love to see what Tippett could do on the penalty kill. He's got that speed, but
I think it's also wanting to keep, especially that second line, that none of them are penalty killers, Tippett, Frost, and Michkov. Kind of similar.
None of them are penalty killers yet.
Yes. Yeah. Kind of similar to how they don't use Sanheim or York on the power play. Like, I kind of want to see 2 defensemen on the power play when Drysdale is out there, just because he's so risky. But I mean, they have 8 good forwards to put out there, so I don't mind it.
Yeah, I mean, until Rocky Thompson is replaced, I think this is just what we're going to deal with.
Yeah, and then we'll complain about the next power play coach, and it'll just go on and on. Death, taxes, and the Flyers power play. That's what we're going with there.
It'll be good one year.
Yeah,
maybe.
All right. Anything else here before we get to the week ahead?
No, I think I'm good. It's just like, it's a bummer to see them playing well, and the games have been fun, and then to see them lose in such catastrophic fashion, I'm like, God damn it, guys! Like, come on, you're so close to you're just right there, and the East is wide open. Not that I'm pushing for playoffs, but
Yeah. East is wide open. They were in a playoff spot by points after beating the Rangers, I believe, or after beating the Blues. Now they are 1 point behind the Rangers, and the Rangers have 2 games in hand there. So it kind of seems like the Eastern Conference playoffs are set. Florida, Toronto, Boston, Washington, New Jersey, Carolina, Tampa, Rangers. Like,
yep.
Amazing the Capitals are leading the conference. Leading the league, tied with the Wild. That's Wilk, if you will.
It is Wilk. Indeed. Ovi should be back in a couple weeks too, so hopefully he can pick up where he left off. The team didn't miss a beat.
Team has not missed a beat.
It's crazy.
All right, Flyers week ahead here. We have Tuesday night at Columbus. Tuesday night at Columbus. Joe is holding up a backwards L on his screen. Then he put up a regular. Now he's making like a rectangle here.
Which one is this? The right one?
That's backwards for me. There you go. That's an L. Joe is calling an L in Columbus. So you got a overtime final score. What you got?
Oh boy, Ivan Provorov game winner.
Oh,
No. I'm kidding. Let's see. 5-4 overtime loss.
Those wild back and forth games.
Oh yeah.
I think they're going to get a win. They've been playing well, like you said. It's frustrating to see them lose. I think they're going to get a win. Definitely overtime. Flyers only have 5 regulation wins this season, which is embarrassing.
They're killing us slowly.
Yeah. So Flyers 4-3 overtime win. Columbus is 8-3-1 on at home. So it could be tough there. But Flyers,
they've been surprisingly good this year.
They have. They're 500 point percentage right there with the Flyers and Islanders.
Yeah.
Then the Flyers come back home to host Detroit. The Red Wings started out hot, but they are once again floundering now. I think we get like a 5-3 win for the Flyers there.
Against the Red Wings?
Yeah.
3-1.
3-1 win?
Yeah.
All right. 3-1 win against the Red Wings. And then, oh boy, Saturday at Minnesota. That's gonna be a tough loss there. That was the 7-5 afternoon game, right? Against Minnesota, where they got dominated on the shots, but I'm going 4-2 Wild win.
Ooh. Is this a back-to-back? It's not, right?
Nope.
No. 6-3 Wild.
Wow, we're going for a lot of high-scoring games here. We don't really believe in the Flyers goaltending, I guess.
No, I just well, Ersson's back, but he looked fine, but a little rusty. Also, Columbus has like really good forwards, so I wouldn't be surprised if Columbus is able to rack up some goals. Like they've had a lot of like 5+ goal games this season or something. I don't remember the exact stat, but they've been in some crazy high-scoring games. And then the Wild have just been feasting.
Yeah.
So we love it.
Yeah.
I'll take a loss if it's a lot of goals. It's fun.
Yeah. Hopefully the Flyers are able to get 3 points out of these 3 games for stay on the playoff bubble, but we'll see what happens there.
Hey, if they suck, high draft picks, baby.
Yeah. All right, Joe, where can the good people find you?
You can find me at jfdmarini.bsky.social. I'm like 90% converted to that. I'll still like flip on Twitter to see if anything at the top of the feed is interesting, and I'm just like, this is stupid. Why am I getting Temu advertisements? I don't want any of this shit. So Blue Sky it is. That's the best place to reach me. And I have like way more followers there than I ever did on Twitter. So yeah, come hang out. It's cooler over there.
Yeah. You can follow me on Blue Sky at ryangilbert.bsky.social. I am still on Twitter at rgilbertsop, but yeah, I've tweeted and I've tweeted and skeeted the same things at the same times, and Twitter gets no interaction. Blue Sky gets a bunch, so that's where I'm going to be primarily posting my thoughts.
Yeah, and I don't have the capacity to do both. I need like one app that would post on both of them for me.
Yeah.
But we don't have that. Thanks, Elon.
Yeah, thanks. Once again, shout out Bet Online for sponsoring us here, and until next time, thanks for listening.
Go Flyers.